All right, what's up, everyone? So this workout was filmed at the start of 6 weeks out from Otter. We're only about 2 weeks now. So this workout is all about turning the strength that I've built and starting to move it quick. Okay, so this is like talking about reaction time, speed. We're going into a race. We want to make sure that not only we are strong, but we are moving quickly and we are used to that. So first series you're going to see is just a little bit of movement prep. We're starting with arms, shoulders, T-spine mobility, taking that into how that's going to coincide with hips. So you'll see a side lunge variation. And then I'm going to take that kind of static movement is how I think of it. And we're going to put it into an actual movement pattern where I'm covering distance. And we'll be using a sled for that. Here we go. Again, so just a reverse fly into a thoracic extension position or shoulder flexion, and then I alternate it. All right, so now we're taking what we were doing with the T-spine, we're putting it into correlation with the legs. The goal is just trying to get the right and left side body to communicate with each other as best as possible. All right, so now we're doing the same exact thing, but we're doing it with a movement. Getting a lot of different input here from my feet all the way up to my neck. What's cool here is, you got your left glute shoving you over to your right side, but then you have your right inner thigh muscles that's pulling your upper body over that right side. All right, so that was the movement prep series, and I did that for 2 rounds. This is the start of a more of like a nervous system reactiveness warm up. So what I'm doing is just using a 6-inch box, and I'm jumping off of it sideways. So it's a lateral depth jump, and it doesn't need to be very high. And what it's doing is it's working all what we would call frontal plane stabilizers, things that stabilize your knee, your hips, your foot and ankle. So working on this allows your pedal efficiency to improve. Um, you know, some people might think of doing balance work for this type of thing, but in all honesty, balance work doesn't mean much if the body's just not communicating, to each side very well. So I kind of think of this as my stability work or my balance work. I'm trying to do it as fast as possible. I'm not as quick as I used to be, but it's all right. All right, this next lift is going to be a hang clean. So it's a portion of an Olympic lift. Now, I'm not an Olympic lifter, and I'm sure neither are you guys, but the research has constantly shown that the hang clean part of an Olympic lift, so it's a mid-thigh pull to a catch, it displays that is where power is greatest within the Olympic lift. So, as an athlete trying to speed everything up, produce as much power as possible, I'm just going to work it from mid thigh up because that's what the science is showing. So, here we go. Now, I am tracking my barbell velocity, and I need it to be over 1 meter per second, which I believe I was doing like 1.34 to 140, which is perfect. Probably a little, I wouldn't say too fast, but I could load it up a little bit more. All right, so this is just focusing on the backside muscles again, the posterior chain or the hip extensors. And I have the Kaiser machine, which is constantly trying to pull me backwards. So it kind of helps me feed, getting full hip extension and not going into back extension. Those are two things that they're hard to decipher from, but the Kaiser really helps, decipher between the two. And I'm just trying to do it quick. And for that round, I'm going to do 2 to 3 sets. It just depends. I'm further along into this. I started with 3 rounds. Now it's kicking on and I'm turning on much quicker. So I've gone to 2 rounds. So now we're headed into, what I'd call like my first actual series of the workout. The prior things were all prep. So we're going with a heavy front squat. So the goal here is I'm trying to recruit as many muscle fibers as I can. So this is heavy weight, very low reps. I'm doing 2 reps. I'm going to take like a 30-second break, and then you're going to see an assisted vertical jump. So I have a band uh, that is anchored above me. So it's going to take some load off. That way, when I'm at contact with the ground, all my body wants to do is get right back up. So I want to turn on as many muscle fibers as possible. And then I want to train my body to do that as fast as possible. So when you're talking about reaction time, um, pumping like in slalom, like all the little reactive hops and pushing and getting out of corners and through the rhythm sections, that's where this stuff is amazing. From that, I'm going to go into a bench press, and it's going to be the same thing. Heavy load, 2 reps, and then I'm going to turn that into speed with some assisted clap push-ups. All right, so we're squatting, knee dominant. Knees have to drive forward as long as you can feel your heels. You drop straight into the hole, then you're going to open up those glutes and actually use them. You're going to put them on stretch before you produce that force. All right, here we go with that assisted jump. Man, it might not look like much, but that band helps a lot. It feels amazing. All right, so this is the bench press I'm doing, and it's very hard to tell, but I have 45-pound plates on the floor, and the reason is I'm not long enough to properly keep my back flat on the bench while I'm doing this. So I'm going to bring the floor up to my feet. That way I have really solid contact with the ground with my foot. And at this point, when I go to push up, not only is my arm, my pec, my shoulder, my abs going to help me move this weight, but my right foot is pushing so hard into the ground, because if it didn't, I would literally fall off to the right because I only have about half of my body on the bench. So I call this a half body bench press. My goal in working out is I'm going to integrate the system as a whole as much as possible, because none of us ride a bike with just our upper body or just our hips or our legs. It's the whole system. So this is crazy hard, and it might not look like it, but man, you are going to get your hamstring and your glutes like crazy, as well as the upper body here. All right, so now we switch to the other side, and you'll get a better view of the legs. I'm definitely using a neck support. So that's another thing is, I always want to support the neck as much as possible. We have a natural curve here, and I don't want to get all goosenecked. Um, I don't want that to strain. The neck muscles don't need to strain while doing these things. So that can interrupt, our airflow and the proper expansion we're supposed to get into our chest from our lungs. So support that neck pretty much always when you're laying down if you can. All right, so we load and then we explode. Load and then explode. And try not to fall off that bench. All right, so now we got the assisted plyo push-up. Again, we're just trying to turn that heavy load and what that's doing for us muscularly, and we're trying to speed it up. All right, so that I did for 3 rounds. And then now we're going into the second round, which is the last round of the workout. Let's see. We have a pull-up first. I can't remember what's next, but I did a pull-up. And for me, I do this in 2 different variations. So I have my legs crossed at the feet, and I'm kind of pulling the knees apart, but just a little bit, nothing crazy. And then I'm focusing on not arching my back. I want to stay, pretty much straight as I pull myself up. All right. So from that, oh yeah, these are rad. Okay, so this is going to be a landmine squat with rotation. So being a bike rider, we don't have much movement variability on the bike. We're holding on to the handlebars, we're clipped in, some of us not, but it doesn't matter. We're basically just stuck in a position. There's not a whole lot of movement going on. So I'm always going to focus on getting all the movement I don't get on the bike. I'm going to get that in the gym. So I'm lined up, you know, parallel with the bar, and I'm going to squat down. So what that's going to do is it's going to get my right ab wall like crazy. It's going to allow me to sink into the right hip. Glutes are going to stretch out, open up. My pelvic floor is going to descend. And all of that needs to occur so that I could load the right hip. That way I could then explode out of it. And I'm going to explode out of it. And all that force I'm generating, I'm going to push it with, against the barbell with my arm to the opposite side of my body. That way my left side is understanding what's going on, and it can prepare to catch this force and decelerate the rotation. All right. And then just we'll do it on both sides. Let's see, with this, I put 25 pounds on the bar, and then I went for 10 reps. So we're getting a lot of input from that right big toe there into the opposite foot's left heel. So that the brain is reading like I'm exploding or accelerating out on my right side. That correlates to all the muscles firing up. And then I'm absorbing that into my left. Obviously, we don't get this kind of movement on the bike, but all of what this is working will allow us to improve our pedal efficiency. Nice. I like that. I love doing these. I'm always critiquing myself. All right, so this is a glute ham raise. So this is a tricky deal here. I believe most people are doing these, not as optimal as they can, because at this point you see their chest and back up like 6 more inches. So essentially what's bringing them up is their back. Not ideal. This drill is meant to work just below the glutes, those upper hamstrings. So you can't see in the video here, but there's a platform that my feet are pushing against, and my heels are driving through this plate like no other. If I lose my heels, I am not going to be doing this drill, because it's lost. I'll lose my abs. I'll lose my hamstring. Basically, I'll lose my rib cage and pelvis position, and you don't want that with this drill. It'll smoke your back out in not a good way. It'll compress your lower back, compress your pelvis, and it's a no go. So there's a lot of variations to work to this, but I've done that, and now I'm going down and up, and I'm getting 4 reps. So it's not that much, but that just tells you this drill is, or this exercise is, it's rough, but it's amazing when you get it down. I was just making sure my hamstrings are staying nice and stimulated. That's going to help maintain my pelvis position in squats. All right. So the last exercise for this round is the slide board. Again, lots of lateral movement and rotation, and trying to do it as quick as possible. So what I'm doing here is, I think I only filmed one breakdown set, but I do 10 taps, so 5 per side, and then I rest for about 20-30 seconds, and then I do another set of 10, because I'm trying to do this quickly. It's a lot more effective when you just break the set down. Like I want to get 10 taps on each leg, but I'm going to break it down. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to do that set of 10. So I get 5 taps per side, give myself 20, 30 seconds rest so I could do it again and do it just as well. Point in time when I would just do like 20 or 30 or 40 taps, but this close to the event, I'm speeding everything up. So I'm going to do a little breakdown set. And I do think, yeah, that was not good. If you notice my right arm, it is not crossing my body enough, and it just doesn't want to do it.
All right.
So I caught that when going through this video, and since then I've been working on that, and it's getting a lot better, which is sweet. But this just goes for you too. Like, go to the gym. We all got iPhones. Like, film yourself a little bit. It's great. It's more of a learning curve than you would think. You don't got to be posting everything on Instagram. But use it to learn, and you'll catch a lot of little things from it. But yeah, that's the deal. That's my deal going into the Otter now. So I think now that I'm filming right now, we're like 2 weeks away, and this workout has cleaned up a lot, which I'm super pumped on. So yeah, this is the one that'll take me in.
That was a good workout.